Okay. You know how some people say that the only way to make a story real is to tell someone else about it? Well, I'm kind of finding myself in that situation right now, and if you could spare a moment, I'd like to share something with you.
Here's the backstory. I had a girlfriend, I loved her, I lost her, and it hurt. But not for the reasons you think. The love I felt for her was empty. Nothing like how I envisioned love. There's no basis for it. But I knew it existed, so in a desperate attempt to find it, I threw myself into countless relationships that never ended in love. When I'd given up, I found myself coasting through life. Nowhere to go, no goals to accomplish. I turned into a shell of my former self. One night I decided to walk down an empty street. I tend to place myself in environments that accurately reflect my dark moods, and this street seemed fitting. The only problem is that night my despair was overbearing, and I was at the point where I didn't think I could handle it anymore. And then I saw her, the girl on the lamppost, a true beauty illuminated just for me. But her beauty isn't what I was the most interested in. It was the language of her body. Her arms were crossed in such a way that indicated she had been hurt somehow. Well, still, what surprised me most was that she kept her chin up through her pain, knowing that everything would just work itself out. Eventually, she noticed me hiding in the darkness. She slowly approached me, stopping at the point where the light dissipated. This was a barrier which separated not two spaces, but two dimensions. And I think she knew it. That only made it all the more impressive when she leapt from her world to mine. And one thing I'll never forget about that next moment was her scent. Her fragrance seeped into my body and sparked something I had long since thought was dead. And then I reached out for her hand as she reached for mine. We made contact. I felt another intense sensation though, but this one was far from kind. It felt violent and scary. I jittered my hand back to protect myself. What did I just feel? She couldn't be wicked. It just wasn't possible. Of course it wasn't. She looked just as confused as I did. The second I took my eyes off her to examine my trembling hand, she thrust both her hands on my chest. Even now I can't accurately tell you what I experienced, but whatever it was felt like it was tearing my soul apart at every seam. Tearing apart and rebuilding. Naturally, my body responded as though it was being tortured. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't think, I could barely stay conscious. Eventually, I summoned the strength to tear my body away from her. But what needed to happen already happened. As the shock subsided, I began to become aware of what was happening. I felt this odd warmth rapidly coursing through my veins. It was a sudden rush of spiritual energy that was breathing life into every part of my being. Eventually it became so overwhelming I couldn't take it anymore. After that, her touch seemed soothing. She knew everything was going to be okay, and I believed her. She then took my hand and carried me off. Oddly enough, she knew where she was going. And as she jumped around and embraced these surroundings, I felt this genuine happiness inside my heart that I hadn't felt in a long time. I was happy, and I didn't care about anything else at that moment. As dawn was coming, I decided to take her to the shore. It seemed appropriate. As we sat there, I was overcome with a sudden desire, a wonderful desire, but a wrong one. She responded in kind, but as I saw her lips approaching mine, I realized that I didn't want to kiss her. She wasn't there for me to love her. She was there for another reason. She took me back to the place where I first saw her. I knew what was about to happen, but it had to be done. As we went in for our one final embrace, she dropped her scarf. The moment was too important for clumsiness, so it must have been on purpose. After I picked up her scarf to give it back to her, she was gone. But then, maybe she was never really there. But that's not the point of this story. I felt a bud sprout in me that let me know that what I had been searching for this whole time did actually exist. It just had to find me.
So, you're probably wondering why I'm telling you the story at all then. Well, you're someone I've come to know and trust over the years. And I feel that if I can convince you of this, well, I might actually be able to believe it myself someday. Even a little. So, what do you say?